Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and in honor of the fact that today is Groundhog's Day, I'm going to be like Punxsutawney Phil, and I'm going to predict the future. I foresee having Kelly Lee, the head coach of Greyhound football, as a guest. I foresee having Jose Montoya, the sports information director at Eastern. I foresee finishing up with an overtime, but I have a pretty good hunch that I'm going to start out with an Eastern recap. Great showing by Greyhound track and field last weekend as 18 personal bests were recorded at a track meet in Albuquerque. Greyhound men's basketball had a heartbreaking 3-point loss to Angelo and then an even more heartbreaking 2-point loss to University of Texas Permian Basin. Greyhound ladies lost to Angelo but managed to beat University of Texas Permian Basin. Both teams will be in action on Saturday at home against Cameron. And Greyhound baseball, even though it was really cold earlier this week, they are ready to go. They're playing this weekend in Angelo. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear the set, and I'll bring in my first guest, head football coach Kelly Lee, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring back to the set of Sportslook. Seems like kind of a contradiction to bring back the new head coach, but of course, a guy who was a head coach at one time at Eastern New Mexico University, now once again the head coach, Kelly Lee. And Coach, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thank you. It's great to be back on Sportslook. Appreciate it.
Coach, it doesn't really seem like that long ago, but it has been a couple of years since the last time we talked to you. And when we were talking to you, you guys were getting ready to play in a bowl game.
Yeah, we played in the Heritage Bowl, played Southern Arkansas, got the school's ever first postseason victory, and really proud of that team and those coaches for that achievement and all the hard work that season.
And to make it even more special, at one point in the season, you guys had lost the wagon wheel game, kind of seemed like the season was slipping away. And you upset a nationally ranked Angelo State team, went on the road, got a win, and qualified for the bowl.
Yeah, that year started off good. We upset Missouri S&T first game. We went on the road to Colorado Mesa, won in overtime, ranked teams. Got a big win over Midwestern, and we were really rolling. And then we stubbed our toe versus West Texas. We lost a game we felt like we should have won versus UTPB, blew a lead, and we were kind of in a bad place. And we regrouped and upset Angelo State in overtime, knocked them out of the playoffs. I think they were like 10th or 12th in the country at the time. Went on the road to Western Oregon and beat a team that was the GNAC champs in the last game, and that got us a bowl game, and then won that game versus Southern Ark, and it was a great way to end that season, a really good season.
And of course, obviously, if people don't remember, you guys, that wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't like that was the only good season. I think you have the record as having the best winning percentage of any football coach in Eastern New Mexico.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a testament to those teams and those coaches during that time. And I thought we had a good thing going and we were rolling. And the thing I was most proud about that run is we always played a full D2 schedule. We never had any NAI or Division III teams, and our non-conference teams were every game a non-conference was nationally ranked. So we were doing it playing a really tough schedule. And I was really proud of how well we handled that tough schedule during that time, during that tenure.
And the other thing that I'll always remember is the fact that I had the privilege of broadcasting your games back in those days, and there were a lot of close games, and you never lost a close game.
No, we were 11 or 12-0 in games, I think, decided by one touchdown or less. And that's something we're already talking about is, bringing back that mental toughness and those, because we felt like we were a very physical football team. And we felt like if we got the game close in the fourth quarter, we were going to win it because we just felt like we'd wear people down. And that's kind of what we're talking about right now in off season as we're building back and this team heading into 2023.
Obviously, the nation was affected by the COVID pandemic, and a lot of people kind of changed their life story at that time. You decided for your family's sake that you wanted to relocate to Texas. You took a job with a high school. Did you ever in your wildest dreams think that you'd ever get a chance to come back to Eastern as head
No,
coach?
I kind of thought that chapter had closed and we were doing something else. And we had a lot of fun down in Brownsville, Texas. We had some good teams and some good people, and it was a great experience. But we missed home, missed the Greyhounds, this job came open, and there was mutual interest in coming back, and it just seemed like it was a good time and everything was right, and just feel really blessed to have the opportunity to be back working with the Greyhounds again.
So walk us through the process. How did you learn about the opening? Who did you reach out to, and who reached back to you?
Well, I mean, there were several people that are close to the program, close to the school that had reached out to me and kind of gauged whether I was interested. I reached out to a few to see, to learn a little bit, and I could quickly tell there was some mutual interest. I was getting excited, and I think some people were getting excited, and then went through the process, applied and interviewed and those things, and that was real surreal for interviewing for a job you had for a while, because it was really more talking about your time than really what you were going to do, but made the process a little more interesting, a little more reflective maybe. Probably a good exercise for myself, personal growth, because you're thinking about what you did well, what you did wrong, what you could do better. So I looked at it as that way, and it worked out. It felt right. So just happy to be here, and thank the Lord that gave us this opportunity. Thank Coach Ware for giving me this opportunity, and President Johnston as well.
And I was very honored that you had not erased me from your speed dial, because one of the people you contacted was me, and I said, heck yes, apply for the job. And I'm sure my influence was about that small, but if I was even that much influential in getting you here, it was well worth it.
Well, I appreciate it.
Well, Coach, let's talk about what do you think your big selling point was? What do you think was it that got you the job?
Well, I think there's a way to win here, and a way to run this program, and I don't want to take credit for it. I think I learned that way from Harold Bud Elliott at my time as a graduate assistant. I think, you recruit New Mexico, you recruit West Texas, you play tough defense, you run the ball, the wind blows here, and you be a team that plays with great effort, plays like a family, plays hard. And, people talk about those things, but I always thought the Greyhounds exemplified it. So, knowing that formula, knowing the kind of the Greyhound way, so to speak, I think that was my selling point, is I know the formula, and I'm invested in it, and I believe in it, and I felt like that's what we were going to try to bring back to the table.
Obviously, you have to sell yourself to the players who are on the squad, but they have to sell themselves to you. It's like, okay, why should I keep you on the roster? Why should you be a part of Greyhound football? So how's that process going?
Well, it's good. I mean, we've hit the ground running with the off season, and my message was there's probably a lot of good football players here, and there's good football players everywhere. But if you're going to be a Greyhound, you're going to have to be tough. You know what I mean? And some might not be tough enough to be Greyhounds. They might need to play somewhere else, because they're good football players. But our guys have to be tough, and not just physically, but mentally as well, because that's how we win games. But I feel like the teams embrace that. We put them through some tough workouts. We got some tough ones to go, but I really think they're buying into that, the discipline and the effort that we're trying to preach and trying to hold them accountable to.
It'd be nice if everybody all plugged in equally at the same time, but crucially, there are a couple of individuals usually that are like the individuals that are going to have the most sway with their fellows. And
Right.
Who has really impressed you with the buy-in so far?
Well, I've just been really impressed with some of the guys that were here before that I saw when they were younger, and now you come back and you see them all grown up, and not that they were not good players already, but there's a difference, a transformation, like Zarian Meander, Colby Russ, some guys, Kevin McCracken, guys like that are just Hunter St. John that, were good players, but they were still young when we were before. Now they're grown up, they're veterans, they're the leaders, and just really impressed with the example that they're setting right now in the offseason.
If I remember correctly, back when you were here the first time, you liked to do spring practice kind of earlier rather than later.
Yes, sir.
But I would imagine with when you got hired, it's probably going to be a later spring practice.
Yeah, we always like to go early. Right about the time we'd wrap up recruiting, we'd go into it, and I like that because if you do have injuries, you got more time to heal, and you get a good block of time to go right into the weight room to lead to the summer. But we felt like we needed to get a base of strength going and really kind of develop the attitudes that we want to see on the field. So we're spending this time in the off season really learning how to work, learning how to be tough, learning how to be physical, mentally tough, physically tough, the effort we want. And the NCAA, 7 or 8 years ago, started giving us 2 hours of time that we can do football work in small groups. So that's key, re-implementing a new system. It's the old system, but it's new to some of the kids. So we can go out and use those 2 hours a week to start teaching things so that when we hit spring ball, we're not starting from scratch. So we pushed it past spring break, and we'll get going in March, and probably our spring game will be in mid-April there.
And you were telling me before we actually went on camera that the specific date is a little bit up in the air, but the weekend, it's going to be either the 21st or the 22nd of April?
Yeah, it'll either be a Friday Night Lights thing on the 21st or a Saturday early morning lunch type kickoff on the 22nd, one of the two.
I know that back when you were the head coach, the first time that a feature of Greyhound football was to sponsor a 7-on-7 competition in the summer. Is that hopefully in the works for this summer?
Yeah, absolutely. We run the biggest 7-on-7 in the state of New Mexico, and the staff, Coach Hyatt, continued that, and they did a great job with it. So it's still alive well. I've already had coaches reach out, so we'll be doing that again. And I love that for a lot of reasons. One, it's good to give something for the state, but two, it allows us to evaluate a lot of really good football players and allows them to get on our campus and see our facilities and see our town, and it brings money to Portales. So you look for win-wins, and it's like a win-win-win-win type situation.
And you inherited a schedule that had already been set, and you actually get to open your second go-around as the head coach at home.
Yeah, that's fun, and I love those Thursday night openers. We've always done that. We got one, and I think Coach Ware's done a fantastic job. He's got Highlands locked in for the next 3 years, so this will be the second game of a 4-year run, which was always something we wanted because it's a natural rival to get them locked in. And we got Sol Ross, and then we had who's coming into our conference, so that's great that we already got them on the schedule. So it's a great non-district or non-conference schedule, and we're excited about it.
Well, Coach, when people do come out and watch you in your home opener against New Mexico Highlands, what's the one thing you hope they see that game? What's the one thing that you hope they're going to see every time they come out and watch you at Greyhound Stadium?
Well, we want to see our kids playing with fanatical effort. We always felt like we had to play harder than everyone, and we needed to be tougher. So those are the things you're going to look for out of Greyhound football. And if you're seeing those things, we're going to have success. So I hope you see it.
Well, Coach, congratulations. It was a pleasure working with you the first time. Looking forward to continued success in your second time around as the head coach.
Thank you, Doc. I look forward to more of these chats about Greyhound football.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll bring in Jose Montoya right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring back to the set of Sportslook the outstanding Sports Information Director at Eastern New Mexico University, Jose Montoya. And Jose, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thank you so much for having me, Doc. This is a great pleasure to be back on the set.
Well, obviously it is a busy time, but it's going to get even busier because we're going to enter into that sweet spot where we're still playing winter sports, but then spring sports are going to kick in.
Knock, knock, knock. It's coming. Crossover season.
The big question I have right now is obviously if people have driven by the backside of Greyhound Arena, they're seeing a whole bunch of construction going on at the softball field. What is the update on completion for the renovations to softball?
Right, been a busy time for Greyhound softball, and they get a new outfield turf this year. As you know, the conference has good regulations for turf play and dirt play and whatnot, and what you need in order of compliance. And so having that infield turf completed last year, now we'll have the outfield turf just in time for the 2023 season coming up later on in February for home games, and then they start this Friday in Lubbock, Texas.
So I am curious. I was not aware that there were LSC specifications. So what do they require?
Right. So last year, if you were an opposing team, basically, the warm up place that you needed to, warm up for pitching and stuff like that should have been turf field. Instead, they were warming up on dirt and then coming onto turf to play.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so that is obviously one big change that we'll see in terms of Greyhound baseball. Greyhound baseball actually opening up this weekend. They're on the road, but we'll get a chance to see them at Greyhound Field the following weekend.
Yes, we will. They get to go right into the thick of things with number 5 Angelo State. This is a squad who's going to be competitive not only in LSC play, but on the national level as well.
I thought it was interesting. Usually in the preseason polls, Greyhound baseball doesn't get a lot of love from the pollsters, but we actually were not predicted to finish last this year, and I think it was a testament to how good Riley Price's squad was last year.
Right, Riley's an outstanding coach, not only just on the field, but to work with as a coworker as well. He's been a huge asset to our program in both the athletic department, but also the baseball program. Very excited for an actual, like a full season to see him do what he does best, and that's coach baseball.
And going back to softball, obviously Amanda Fiefel, no slouch in the coaching area because the Greyhound ladies had great success, and she's got her best pitcher from last year coming back.
Yeah, she does. And Brooke's a stud on the field. Stud on the field and in the classroom as well. We got to acknowledge her and her 11 other teammates who received LSC honors for academics this past fall semester. But let's get back to the softball diamond where Amanda, she's got this team really toned and ready. You're going to see a lot of new faces from the junior college ranks. And you're going to see 5 freshmen who are going to go right into the thick of things of collegiate softball.
We obviously have an outdoor track and field program, but we also have an indoor track and field program. They're going right now. And last weekend, you were actually with the squads in Albuquerque, and pretty good showing, I think you'd have to say.
For sure. Joshua Harden has done a really great job early on with this program, and he brought in 2 coaches who are really huge assets to the Greyhound family. Raymond Putnam is a longtime head cross country and track and field coach at several programs throughout the country. And then you have Jules Rios, who she's done a really good job as a graduate assistant. So definitely excited for them, specifically talking about individual athletes that we should focus on as fans is going to be Timothy Frederick. And he ran the 400 meter. By the way, Doc, it's not one of his specialties. And he broke the school record in his first ever 400 meter race. This week, ran the 200 meter, a little bit more of his specialty, and took the second best all time, time basically. So you're gonna reach the end of this season, you're gonna be like, wow, 4 of the 5 names on that list, Timothy Frederick.
And looking at the ladies' side of the equation, Tamia Smith off to a pretty good start.
Yes, she is. Her first meet of the season there at Northern Arizona University, she broke the program record. And basically, she's one of those student athletes who's right off that list on the go where pretty much all the records are hers in any event she's really in. And then we also have a couple more throwers by her side who are very competitive. And we're talking about a returner in Tatiana Hall, Janiyah Johnson, and then we also have another new face in Kennedy Ulmer, who came out of Cleveland High School, and she's been throwing really well in the last 3 meets.
And we obviously have an indoor component of track and field going right now. There's going to be an outdoor component, and people just don't have to take our word for it because if memory serves me, we're actually going to have a home meet. And what teams, do we have a finalized schedule of the teams that are going to be there?
Yeah, this meet's scheduled to be on April 1st this year, and right now we've heard express interest from New Mexico Junior College, and then we've also reached out to the other universities nearby. We're talking about LCU, we're talking about West Texas, New Mexico Highlands, and Western New Mexico.
We had a chance at the beginning of the season last fall to see Albert Flynn's rodeo squads in person when we hosted our annual College Days Rodeo. They'll be having rodeos on the road, 5 of them this spring. And right now, we've got a couple of individuals that might qualify for National College Finals Rodeo.
Yeah, the cool thing, and I'm sure you've learned this in your time in New Mexico, is that collegiate rodeo, it's a different week every single week. So it all matters just where their scores are towards these next 5 rodeos. Competition's going to be really tough for them. But a lot of cool names to look out for. Tabitha Townsend's definitely going to be one that I'm interested in seeing. Caitlin Kreider is another one who's had a good showing in the fall, and she's pretty speedy in the goat tying.
And we've got a brand new sport. We have esports. The hometown kid himself, Mr. Joseph, is our coach. And what can we expect from esports?
Yeah, Joseph Garcia's done a great job. We're going to have a Call of Duty team, an Overwatch team, and then also competing in a video game called Super Smash. So those 3 games are going to be available for our teams. They're going to compete, and we're also going to be creating a YouTube channel for fans to watch.
Unbelievable. Well, I'm really glad I had you on as a guest because I have a zillion questions about esports, and I can gradually learn as I watch that. Let's go back. Obviously, we've been talking about spring sports, but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about winter sports. As things stand right now, going into a crucial set of games on Saturday for the Greyhound men and women against Cameron University. Greyhound men and women both have a chance of being in the 8 that'd go to the playoffs.
Yes, they do. The Greyhound women, they sit in that 9th spot, and then coming into that previous weekend with 2 losses, Greyhound men were in 6th place. So right now they're around that 7th, 8th mark. So they're right in the thick of things. Now it's getting these next couple wins to get them over that hump. Women and men have a really good chance as they play these 2 teams really closely on the road. And as you know, it's very difficult to win in Greyhound Arena, especially with all the students. So definitely looking forward to Saturday and what the men and women can bring.
Yeah, if memory serves me, against Cameron, the Greyhound guys won, the Greyhound ladies did. Greyhound ladies don't have very many players on their squad, so young ladies having to play a lot of minutes, but those ladies have all stepped up to the task.
I think that's the cool thing about it all is that you know that you need to have that next man up mentality, right? Whenever one player goes down or one player just can't play, right? You're going to go in and you know that you can be trusted by Megan de los Reyes and you can really hammer it out and risk it all for your team. And they showed that in this last game against UTPB. This is a tough team that they had the fortune to beat at home, and they were able to take a win on the road, which is fairly rare in the LSC.
I remember when Brent Owen got hired and I interviewed him for the first time, and he said that he had a goal that the Greyhounds would be the best team in the conference rebounding. And I kind of was thinking, yeah, right, that's never going to happen. Well, lo and behold, going into this weekend, if memory serves me, the Greyhound men's basketball team, #1 in the Lone Star Conference in rebounding.
Yeah, they're right up there. They've been consistently in the top 3 throughout the season in this category. And not all in thanks, but definitely huge contributions from Arrow White and Jose Murillo. Those 2 have really stepped up this year and have been rebounding machines. Mostly Arrow White, he has about 6 double-doubles already, and Jose Murillo, who just got his first of the season. So definitely great contributions from them, but the team also has a couple guards who really go after it as well.
Well, Jose, in the limited amount of time we've got left in our segment, if people want to know more about Greyhound Athletics, there are numerous social media platforms, but there's one website that they can definitely go to.
Right? Despite being able to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, goeasternathletics.com.
Well, Jose, thanks so much for all you do for Eastern Athletics. I owe you a big debt of gratitude for the broadcasting that I'm able to do on the radio. So hope to see you at the conference tournament in Frisco.
We will see you there.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview portion of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Earlier in the program, I had the chance to interview Kelly Lee, who, of course, got hired after the end of the football season as the new head football coach at Eastern. Eastern wasn't the only school that hired a new head coach during that time period. West Texas also hired a new head coach. They hired a guy named Josh Lynn. And you're saying, what an amazing coincidence. We used to have a head football coach named Josh Lynn. Yeah, same guy. The guy who played for Eastern, the guy who coached Eastern, is now the head coach at our bitter arch rival. And I had a chance to talk to Josh a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Josh, I wish you all the success in the world. I hope that next year you go 10-1. You got it? I hope you do too. Well, that is going to wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sports Look. I'd like to thank my guests, Kelly Lee and Jose Montoya. Had a floor crew led by a veteran director, Mr. Logan. So, for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.